Hi, my name is Jen Mitchell. I'm a mother of 2 children. One is going into 3rd grade with a speech impediment and the other 5th. I'm also a small business owner and my husband works full-time. Last year was off to a difficult start between lockdowns and school being canceled. During that time, my husband and I needed to juggle between our jobs that support and feed our family and our children's education. My business could not be left unattended as I work and travel, and we were in crisis mode and trying to navigate online learning with both children. Our children had no contact with other children as everything was closed and locked down. I felt like a terrible parent, and my kids and I both cried on a fairly regular basis. I noticed a change in both kids. Then a sign of normalcy. Camp resumed. My kids could be kids again. They came happy, they were sweaty, talking about their day, had play dates, sleepovers, back to normal. We had 0 COVID cases all summer, and the kids did not wear a mask. I questioned why our camp was able to operate without a mask and the schools could not. In the fall, I feared sending them to a hospital-like school setting. When I learned of the mask mandates in the 2020 school year, I made it my mission to find a school with no mask mandate or less restrictions on masks. I applied for scholarships, financial aid, and I found an alternative to Collier County Public School. I was glad there were less restrictions. However, the masking that still took place was enough to negatively affect my kids. We had friends in private and charter schools that were no masks at all, and they all reported the same thing, little to no cases. It wasn't a perfect world, even with less masking. The kids in elementary had it tough emotionally. My daughter Samantha was a new kid and struggled to make solid friendships. She had challenges reading people, so with the mask, she misread her friends often with their facial expressions, only being able to look in their eyes. This made her nervous, uncomfortable, and often on the defense, causing her to act out. Until this year, Sam has never been in trouble or had behavior issues. Her school counselor said that this misunderstanding and communications were very problematic and caused a lot of discord, especially with the little ones who are socially developing. The counselor said that she used to pass the kid in the hall and immediately know if something was wrong. This year, not the case. Sam hit her bottom last year when we had to seek outside help to learn how to handle her stress and anxiety. She's 8. Not only was it upsetting, we needed to seek out mental health, but we found that we couldn't really find any therapist or child psychologist with an opening because so many kids are having issues this year. Last year, right before we started masking in the schools, I spoke before the school board. I had predicted what was almost alarmingly accurate recap of what actually had occurred. I had told them if we cover all their faces and teach them to stay far away from others as possible, we will have lasting implications on our children's mental health. I told them to think of how these children will feel if a friend or teacher was fearful of one another. These missing smiles that make our kids feel comforted and loved. Sadly, this prediction came to fruition last year. It happened to my family, but more so I've heard from many other parents with similar stories and their kids struggling with friendships, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts or actions. If I had the choice, I may have opted to homeschool last year, but like many parents who have 2-income households or 2 working parents, this was not an option. This year, our kids returned back to the same summer camp, and to date, there's still no issues with COVID. Kids and counselors alike were not wearing masks. Again, why is this not being talked about? The kids who have the privilege to get into private school or charter schools are protected from these mask mandates, yet kids who do not have the same privilege are being sacrificed. What upsets me even more is if this really was 2 weeks to stop the spread, it would have been a different story. This is going on 2 years of their childhood. 2 years of a world without hugging their friends in the hallway. 2 years of covering up those gorgeous smiles. 2 years of what's supposed to be a stress-free time in their lives. I'm here today as an advocate for all of our children. Please protect our children's mental health this year. And thank you for doing that.
Okay, Cindy Ray. Cindy Ray.
First of all, thank you, Governor Ron DeSantis, for the opportunity to speak in Free Florida. We really appreciate the opportunity, and thank you all for coming out today to support our country.
All right, you are watching live Fox 4 coverage of Governor Ron DeSantis in Cape Coral right now, speaking at Two Meatballs in the Kitchen restaurant. And as you can see, in front of a lot of supporters and some moms speaking right now about why they don't want their children to have to wear masks when school starts again in just a little more than a week. The big headline coming out of what the governor just said is that he plans on signing an executive order, what he calls a Parents' Bill of Rights executive order, that will order the Departments of Education and Health to come up with emergency rules, in his words, to protect parents who do not want their children to have to wear masks in school. He said, quote, "I want to empower parents to make the best decisions they can for the well-being of their children."
And he actually opened up this entire news conference, Chris, with saying this is about protecting parents' rights. And quote, he said, "There will be no lockdowns, no school closures, no restrictions or mandates." And that's something that he's reiterated constantly over the past several days. And this is really him just doubling down on that again.
Yep. And he mentioned a Brown study, and it's something that the governor mentions often when he talks about this. There was a study that Brown University did that looked at schools that did have mask mandates and schools that didn't, that allowed the children to go to school last year without wearing a mask. And that study found largely things were the same as far as infection rates. However,
I pulled my mask down, probably drinking my third cup of coffee, laughing, finally, and he looked at me and he said, "Miss Ray, that's the first time I've seen you smile all year long." And I took that student's words and I lived with those for the rest of the school year. I would keep 6 feet away. I would make sure to smile and look at my students and make them feel safe, even though I knew that it was not the right thing to be covering my face all day. But if I could give one smile in 49 minutes, I was going to do that. They needed to see what I looked like and how happy I could be. As a teacher, and all of teachers know, we are rule followers. We follow the rules. We try to always do the right thing because we are in the forefront of children and our future. However, when I look at this mask mandate, it's not just about just putting on a mask. It's not about just going to get the vaccine. It's about what is going to be next. What is the next just thing? You said, get the vaccine, we can all be unmasked. We got the vaccine. We're vaccinating. We are having clinics. Go to the Department of Health. Walk into Publix, get your rotisserie chicken, get a jab. You can be free if you do that to take your mask off. Now, 1 week before school starts here in Florida, the CDC about faces turns the policy around. The American Academy of Pediatrics also said the same thing. 2 to 12 years old need to be fully masked all day long. We're vaccinated. We need to get these kids in school. They need to see my smile all 49 minutes of the day. They need to see your smiles all minutes in your home, and they need to interact with people. I had the unfortunate time this year of seeing the depression in the older population of those high school students. More Baker Acts than we know what to do with. More children not coming to school after being quarantined for 14 days because they're behind. So they get even more behind. I'm just here to say that it should be our choice. The foundation of America and the foundation of what we're built on is having the choice for what is best for you and your family. This isn't about the mask. I just want to reiterate that. That is all of the other things that could come down the pipe if we're willing to just say, okay, we'll do it for another 180 days. Thank you so much.
Okay, Christine DeVigli, parent.
Hi, I'm here actually representing all 3 of my girls. And when all of this started, I pulled all of them out of school because my middle child has asthma. So, you know, masks were not a possibility for us. And they're also vaccine injured, so vaccines were not an option for us. That first, half of that year, it was okay, but not awesome. But going into the next school year, when they knew everything was going to be virtual the whole time, this beautiful kid right here, she was going into her freshman year last year, and she went into it virtually. This kid has been an A student, and she's in the arts program in her high school. She's never had anything less than a B her whole entire academic career until last year when she got her first 2 Fs. Yeah, her first 2 Fs. And that happened after she suffered from extreme depression, after she moved out of our house and in with her father because she just wanted to go to school. She didn't care if she had to put a mask on anymore. And she was willing to separate herself from her siblings to do that. This summer came and she was right back home, excited, right out, spending time with her friends again, spending time in the public. You know, no one's worrying about a thing until 5 days ago, 6 days ago, when the CDC changed their mind and decided that they were going to mask kids again. And now I have my now sophomore wondering, am I going to have to go back into school wearing a mask? Am I not going to be able to go to school this year? Am I going to be bullied if I choose not to wear a mask? These are all the questions that our high schoolers are having to deal with. These are all the questions our middle schoolers are having to deal with. And our elementary age kids. Like, our kids should not have to be going through this. I just want my kid to be able to go to school. She just wants to be able to go to school. These mask mandates, these mandates in general, they need to end, and they need to end now. Thank you so much.
All right, Dan Cook and your daughter.
My daughter's more popular than I am, and I'm okay with that. So how great is it that we have a governor who defends freedom of choice and upholds the rights of the citizens of Florida? And so I'm really grateful for this opportunity to thank the governor for his leadership. I live in Collier County. I'm fortunate enough to be a parent of a charter school student, so she's never had to wear a mask except for when we went into the school board meetings to try to protest the mask mandates. And I bring that up because I speak to a lot of parent groups and parents across the state and across the country who are frustrated with school board members or superintendents who listen to the health departments and listen to the CDC, and here in Florida they're bucking the governor, and they are continuing to push the masks on our kids. And I want to share the story of Collier County and what we've been able to do there through the Grassroots, and of course with the big assist from the governor. We have been able to push the mask optional policy from the school board members, but not just a watered down, we're going to do what the CDC says mask optional policy. Through the grassroots efforts, through parents going to the school board members month after month after month, making use of our public comments, we were able to get the school board members to push back against the CDC, against the health department, and against their superintendents. And through the efforts of parents, we've had our school board members make amendments to the mask policy to essentially go wait for the governor's discretion on what to do with the mask. So I just want to share that story and encourage parents across Florida, across the whole country, that there is hope. If you organize, if you get into these meetings, that's how change happens. So. If you're hearing this message and if you're concerned about the mask policies moving forward, I encourage you to be at the next school board meeting. Don't let up. It takes consistency, it takes passion, and of course it takes a great governor to lead the way. So thank you for the opportunity.
All right, Allie Locke.
Good morning. My name is Allie Locke. I'm a high school teacher here in Lee County, and I'm also a parent of 2 school-age children. I come to you with 2 perspectives today. My children are young. They went into kindergarten and 2nd grade this year, and I also teach a population of students that know 0 English. And this year, we were very worried going in how my son, who is in kindergarten, and my students would be able to see my face and hear English sounds and hear how to form words and how to make out sentences, to learn how to read, to learn how to speak English. It was incredibly difficult this year to do that with my students, and oftentimes I had to pull my mask down for a second so they could hear me. It was impossible for them to learn appropriately. My son and my daughter, I had to come home every single day. They only went to school in the fourth quarter because we homeschooled them the first 3, but I had to correct things that my children heard wrong because they couldn't hear their teacher through the mask. Second, as a teacher in the high school, I saw how these mask mandates negatively affected everybody there. The teachers that didn't believe in the mask mandates we were terrified to speak out in fear of losing our jobs, in fear of retaliation from other teachers, from the school board, from anyone else who thought differently than we did. So we did what we had to do to go back to work to see our kids, because that's what we care about, is our students. We want to be with them, but we want to be able to have our rights respected. We want to be able to choose, and we want to be able to teach our children without our faces covered. So I appreciate Governor DeSantis and this today. Thank you all for coming and listening to us and hearing the perspective of teachers. Thank you.
Brenda Cook.
Hello, my name is Brenda Clark. I first would like to thank Governor DeSantis for your leadership and your involvement and caring about what parental rights are. I also would like to thank Senator Rodriguez for passing the Parents' Bill of Rights. That is a huge... That's a huge, huge win for parents across Florida. We have the choice to raise our children the way we see fit. I spent the entire school year with, I've had to basically take a leave of absence from my job. My daughter stayed home. She has severe asthma. The school would not allow her to attend school without a mask, even though she had 2 doctor's notes and they said she could wear one for short periods of time, but not all day. The school district, after an entire year of fighting them, would not allow her to attend. So she, along with me, we took the school district for a due process hearing and actually took them to court. I'm waiting, hopefully a ruling this week, but my message is don't stop fighting for your kids. I also am a co-founder of Parents' Rights, Parents for Informed Choice, and not only do I represent my children, but I hope that our organization helps parents get the courage to fight for them as well. Thank you.
Daniela Dye.
Hello, everybody. So one of the things that we've talked about is the disproportionate accommodations that impacts the masked people, whether it's in school or whether it's in the grocery store if we've gone to Publix. When my husband was growing up, he was a part of a household that was mixed race. When we got together, he explained a story to me about his father. His father was the first to enter a class that was desegregated. I thought it was crazy. I couldn't imagine anything like it. And then I went to Publix, and when we went to the stores, we were segregated. When we went to schools, we were segregated. We have this constant separation of classes, and it is enforced by rules that are federal, and I'm glad that we have a governor that has come into place to make sure it's not in our state. We went through all of the correct procedures when we came to our school year. We wanted our kids to be with their friends that they've known for the last 6 years. We've been in the same school district in the same school. We went to the doctors. We consulted 3 different medical professionals to get an opinion on what would be best for our children. All of those requests were denied by the school when a 504 meeting was held for each of the 3 children. We went through all of the things we needed to do to let the school know that our children were not in the organization to wear a mask. It would not work for our children. We decided to homeschool our children. We pulled them from the district. As such, we are looking for co-ops and things like that, and found that there are not organizations that can help you school children because of the fact that the state laws in Florida don't allow other people to teach your children. We're very fortunate that we were able to pull them, and one of us will always be home teaching our children. There are many single income families, there are many single parent families that don't have that right or that ability. Not the right, the ability, I apologize. Do not take the compliance to have an education as an acceptance for the policy. There are many of us that comply because they feel like they're losing out on life. They can't work, they can't get an education because they don't have the ability to just quit and stay home. One of the things that's not talked about often is the fact that if you don't comply with the medical field and the things that they want you to do, it goes into a medical kidnapping case. It is few and far between, but we face that risk and that responsibility as parents. So when we go through and take the precautions for our families, know that we don't do it lightly, and we take a huge responsibility for that. We have parents' rights, we've had them, we will continue to have them, and with this bill and this executive order, we'll continue to fight, and we're not few and far between, we're everywhere. So keep showing up.
Okay, Wayne, where are you at? Are you going to say something? Or did you? Well, I would just like to thank the governor on behalf of all the business owners. We opened up last July this location. We didn't know if we were going to make it. And thank God to our governor. We're here, we're thriving. And there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of businesses that have not made it. I have friends all across the country, 40 years, 50 years in business, they lost everything. That could have happened to us, but thank God for our governor.